What is going on? How are you guys doing? We're talking about college today. I know, the big C word, it's coming out. We're talking about college. This is a series I used to do where I would sit down and sort of talk out, what you need to know when you're going into this sort of stuff, because it is a very scary thing, and I hope that I can give you a perspective on stuff. I only know what I've done, but I think it'll probably help you, and it'll probably color in some of the dark areas that you might think if you're going into something like college. Now, we're going to start right from high school, and we're going to go all the way through it actually getting into college and applications, financial aid, that sort of stuff. So if that's what you're into, if you want to put me on another tab and listen to me rant and rave, that's fine. If you want to sit here and look at me while I talk, that's good as well. So college, first of all, let's talk about college, right? What is college? Because college isn't for everybody. It has very quickly in the past 10 years or so become a gold standard that everybody has to go to college if you want to get a good job and make a good living, and that's not necessarily true. If you want to be a miner, you don't need to go to college. If you want to be a construction person, if you want to work in a factory, if manual labor is what you're into, then a 4-year academic college isn't for you. Even a 2-year academic college isn't for you. Maybe a technical college would work really good for you because it's more hands-on and it's pertaining to what you want to do. But if you want to work in a factory, you don't necessarily need to get your bachelor's degree in anything. Usually colleges in the olden days were looked at if you want to be like a professor or something in the genres of math, science, reading, writing, educational stuff, anything like that, you would have to go to college, obviously. But there's still a great workforce out there for people that don't want to go to college. So don't force yourself to think that I have to go to college. It's the only thing I've got, because that's not true at all. Now, once you have made the decision whether you want to go to college or not, you might want to start thinking about what you want to go to college for. Now, when I was in high school, it was sort of around your end of junior year. You want to kind of have an idea of what you want to do, so you can start applying for stuff during your senior year so you can make a smooth transition right into your first year of college, coming right off the back of high school. Now, there are a couple different schools of thought on that. You could either, take a year off. A lot of people take a year off in between graduation and starting college. Schools have recently started backing it up now into your sophomore year. You need to know what you want to do with the rest of your life and that sort of stuff. And that's a really big, scary thing. I just want you to know that you do not have to know what you want to spend the next 45 years of your life on today. You don't. Don't even worry yourself with that. If I were you, what I would do, I'd take a couple of subjects that I really like. I'd like to, I really like music. Personally, I really like music, and I'm a music education major. So I really like music, and I really like education. So it kind of fit for me that, okay, maybe we'll go down the music education route. Maybe you're super into science, so, maybe biology or something like that. Get broad topics. You don't need to, I'm going to be a nanoscience, this, that, and the other thing in this specific field with this, dream job. You don't need to get that deep right away. Now, another thing that you should probably know is that your first 2 years in college are what are usually considered general education years. You don't do a lot of study in your field. You do a lot of math, science, reading classes, and that's really just it's a continuation of your core classes from high school, although you don't need to take as many of them. I know for me personally, I need to have in 4 years 2 math, 2 reading, 1 science, and there's also some finance classes in there and whatnot, and that's really just so you learn how to be an adult and that sort of stuff. So that's a thing to keep in mind too. You do not need to know right now what you want to do with the rest of your life. So, if you have a broad idea, let's say I'm going to use music because that's obviously something I have a little more familiarity with. I want to be a music education major. Okay, I've decided that, and in my junior year, going into my senior year, I'm right on target with everything. In my senior year, I'm going to want to look for colleges. You're probably going to go on a lot of tours of colleges. You're going to want to make a list. I don't want to go to a cosmetology school if I want to do music education. So make a list, let's say 18, 20 schools in the country, maybe even in the world, that you want to go to. Rank them top to bottom, why you want. Make some pros and cons of what you want and what each school has to offer. Do some really in-depth research, because this is where you're going to spend the next 4.5 years of your lifetime. And you're going to spend every day working toward a goal. You don't want to go to a school that doesn't meet what you need as a person. That's a thing too. Every college, I shouldn't say every, most colleges have really good academic standards. Now you need to figure out, what are they all about as a college? What scholarships can you get? If you do a lot of extracurriculars, if you got a really good GPA, maybe you can get some more scholarships, because you need to remember, when you go to a school, you're representing them. And if you're a really great student, if their student body focuses on extracurriculars and you do a lot of those, they're most likely going to give you a lot of money to go to that school. And that might be something that's very important to you. Maybe you want a more diverse group of students. You can look at that as well. Maybe the school you're going to, you need to audition to get into. Maybe they only accept 5 people a year. So maybe you need to make a longer list. These are all things that you need to consider. So let's say you make a list of 18 or so schools. You go around, you tour them. You're going to want to knock that list down to, let's say 5 or 6 halfway through your senior year. You're going to want to start sending out applications to these schools. Now, I go to University of Wisconsin. So our application process is really easy. It's all online. It just asks you personal information, GPA, ACT or SAT scores, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. And it goes through some personal information, extracurriculars, why you think you'd be a good fit. There's probably an essay that may or may not be mandatory that you need to write about a given prompt. And that is your application process. Now, ACT is something I want to talk about, because a lot of places are giving you free ACT tests. Now, I know Wisconsin definitely does. We were forced to take the ACT in our junior year. It was paid for. We took 3 days to do it or something like that. And it was a school-wide function. Everyone else didn't have school. The juniors had to stay there. Now, if you get a bad ACT score, I think the average is like 19 or 21, something like that. It goes from 0 to 36. So somewhere in the 20s, cut it right in half. That's about the average. Now, if you get like a 16, is it going to kill your ability to go to a college? No. Is it going to narrow your chances of being able to go to a specific college? Yes, if it's a very competitive school. If it's a super competitive business school and you want to go for business and you get a 16 on your ACT and you've got 3.7 GPA, it's not making you look bad per se, but it's not shining your best qualities. So maybe you want to retake that again. I highly recommend it. The first time you take it, you go as hard as you can. You focus up, you get to sleep the night before, you try as hard as you can, because you do not want to spend $150 and waste a Saturday taking it over again. If you do end up failing it though, you should know that very often they say, on average, I should say, not very often, but on average, if you retake it, you will get 1 point higher. So if you take it one time, get an 18, you take it again, the likelihood of you getting a 19 is pretty strong. So you can keep that in mind if you want to go for a better score. But really, unless you're trying to get into Harvard or an Ivy League school, you don't need to be stellar. A lot of colleges are focusing more on extracurriculars and high school stuff and a little less on the standardized testing. We're sort of moving away from standardized testing in a lot of schools, especially if you're going to a liberal arts school. I apologize, that sort of thing. So, again, you've taken the ACT. You've applied for the schools. They're going to ask you for a high school transcript. If you're not through high school, you can send a temporary one with the promise that you will send a full one upon graduation. They will accept that. And then you're also going to need to fill out financial aid. This bad boy scares a lot of people. And if you don't have someone helping you, it can be scary. I know some high schools offer classes where they will help you through these sorts of things. And I think more schools really, really should. But that, I will digress on that point. So, financial aid. What is it? Basically, the federal government will look at how much money you make, your parents make, your life situation. Are your parents divorced? Do you live in a mansion? Where do you live? That sort of stuff. They'll look at that. And they will then decide how much money it's going to cost for you to go to school, how much your parents should pay in, and the dividend, they'll give you a number. And depending on where you fall in a bracket, they will give you money. The federal government will help supplement the cost it takes for you to go to college. Now, note, this is on a first-come, first-served basis. If you fill it out late, you're not going to get any money. If you fill it out the day it opens, you're likely to get money. That's kind of how that system works. So really be on the ball with that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not saying if you fill it at the deadline, everyone did it pre-deadline, you're not going to get any money, stuff like that, of course. But There is a first come first serve basis because they only set aside a certain amount of money. The federal government for financial aid. There it is. Once the money's gone, it's gone, and you're kind of relying on scholarships and whatnot. So again, I'm going down the list here. You've applied. You've done financial aid. Get someone to help you. Get a high school teacher. If you have a brother or sister, get them to help. Okay. It's not too difficult. It's really just yes or no questions, filling out self-information. You're going to need your social security number. You're going to need your tax information from the former year. You're going to need your parents' tax information as well. And you're going to need to write all of that down, and that's just going to put it in to their little equation. And if it asks you for a work study, which is basically working on campus, and they give you money for that, absolutely press yes because it's good money. And all you have to do is work on campus for a couple hours a week during your semester. Now, grants and stuff like that are also put in there. Again, apply for separate scholarships. Do not expect financial aid to cover everything that you're going to take to go to college because it's a lot. You see these books back here, which I'm going to get to. Books are expensive too, and financial aid may or may not cover some of that. It all depends. You need to really read up and be an expert on the situation at hand. Now, with that said, let's go back to the list. I'm going to keep going back to it so we know exactly where we are in the college application process. You've applied. You've filled out financial aid. Sorry again. You have filled out all the necessary papers. You've thought about your list of schools. You've narrowed it down. You've got the list. Applied. You may or may not get accepted to a few of them. Let's say you get accepted. Let's say you get that letter in the mail that everyone wants to read and that you will see on your Facebook timeline when you're a senior in high school. I got accepted to this in this college. Fantastic. Now, you're immediately going to look at what sort of package can they give you. If I go to one school, they'll give me $30,000. Another school might give me $35,000. Well, then maybe you want to go to the first school again and say, hey, they're giving me $35,000. What can you give me? There is a little wheeling and dealing there, and do not be scared. My biggest regret is that I was scared of colleges because there are these big institutions that I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't have a lot of help, and no one really knew. My family, not everyone went to college and got master's degrees in fields like that, so it was really, really scary for me. Ask the people at the college. It's their job to help you get money. Free money. That's what they do. Ask them. Ask high school people. Do not be afraid because, you've only got this small amount of time where you're a high school student going into college. You've only get that opportunity once. So don't mess it up. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to screw you if you do because I'm in college just fine. But you want to maximize the opportunities while you have them. It's a big thing I need to stress. So, accepted. Are you going to go live on campus? Is it close enough where you're living off campus? These are all things that's going to factor into money, room, and board. Do you have to live on campus? I know some schools, a lot of schools, liberal arts schools, first 2 years you have to live on campus. That factors in as well. Is it far away from home? Do you get homesick? These are all things I'm sure you've thought about at this point. So, you're getting ready for school. It's the summer. Hang on, let me take a drink here because this is all rather exciting. So, it's the summer. You've graduated high school. Congratulations, by the way. It's a task that everyone says, oh, you have to do, but it's still a really big deal. Graduating high school, kind of an idea what you're going to do. Like I said, the first 2 years are just gen ed credits anyways, so you're working with the college now to put together your schedule during the summer. Think about that. Oh my gosh. College is happening to you. It's happening, right? It's real life. So, you're going to want to go and get your books next. Obviously, you want to tour the campus. You want to know where everything is. The second you get your schedule done, you want to know where you're going because colleges are not like high schools, boys and girls. These are huge, huge facilities. Often, different sides of, there's different buildings is what I'm trying to get out to. There's different buildings. Do I need to go here one day, there one day? And since you have the luxury of putting together your schedule, and often, in fact, how do you want to put your schedule together? Do you want to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, have classes in the morning, and be done? Or do you want to go in at 4 o'clock? Are you going to work? These are also things you need to, if you're going to work at the Pizza Hut, from 4 to 10, you can't have class then. So you're going to have early classes. Well, if you work till 10, you don't want to get up too early. Maybe you want to go in at 10 or 11. You try to find stuff in that area. And, of course, academic advisors, Use them. Use and abuse your academic advisor, okay? They are so smart and they know the system inside and out. They're the biggest helps I've ever had. Often you'll have an academic advisor that is more of an overseer, kind of like your guidance counselor in high school. And you'll also likely have someone in your field. Like, since I'm a music ed major, I have the head of our music department as an academic advisor. That's great. I talk to him all the time, okay? Because he knows exactly what I need. That's great. You're going to want to do that. Tour the campus. Books. Books are expensive, boys and girls, all right? The conversation between renting and owning, things you never heard about in high school. What do you want to do? It depends. So I know for a fact that in our class, we are using the same sight singing oral skills textbook for 2 years. I know that for a fact. The teacher said so. It's right on the syllabus. I bought this book. It was only like $35 or something like that. So you might want to buy a book. If you're only going to be there, maybe you're not so sure. Maybe renting is more up your alley. If it's, I can't even think of a subject where renting would work. But there are some where if you're reading a book for a semester and you're never going to need it again, rent it, obviously. If you're taking computer courses, you might want to buy those books, because they're going to be useful to you. Like I know, for example, this music education, or I'm sorry, not music education, this music theory book that I have, although it was used, which we'll talk about used and new in a minute, it's useful to me. It will be useful to me for a very long time. Even past just this year. I can look back, there's still good information in this because music hasn't really changed a lot in the past years. Stuff like pianos. I have to take a piano class. So this piano book, useful. I bought this. It was really cheap. It was like $28. Used versus new is the next topic on our list. Now, new books. They're shiny. They're brand new. They're expensive. Used books. They've been used. Likely, most of the stuff's been erased, especially if they rented. Then you can't write in the book. That's nice. So if you get a used, formerly rented book, I guess. But usually it's been used. Here, let me show. Like this book is actually in pretty good shape, but the binding's a little worn on it. There is some writing in it from past uses. People selling back the book because this is a $160 book. Yeah. I got off cheap. I've seen $300. If you're in science, oh my goodness, I've seen $350 books. Maybe you might not want to spend $350 on a book that you're only going to use 1 year. So that's something you need to contemplate. Talk to your parents about that. You need to look at budgets and that sort of stuff as well. Sort of factor in, will financial aid cover this if I get any? Will the grants, scholarships, does that help out with books? And that sort of stuff as well. So you've gotten your books. You've gotten all of this, regular school supplies, highlighters, pens, pencils. You've got, textbooks like I just talked about. You've got regular writing here. Let me see if I can grab this. There. You've got all of your books, right? You've got everything that you need. For me, I've got staff paper because I need to write down music, obviously, music theory stuff. You've got a calendar. Boys and girls, look at me. Look me in the face right now. Use this calendar, okay? Use it, please. It is so beyond useful because people get 4.0 GPAs in high school. They go to college. They immediately fail because they do not have the discipline that it takes to get through college. You're on your own. There's no one holding your hand anymore. It is 100% on you to do the work. Write down all of your assignments. Here, let me see if this will focus. This probably won't focus. It's because there's so much light. But I have all of my assignments every single day written down, when they're due, what I have to do, any extra little handouts I have folded in here that are useful. Use this. Use this. Do not lose it. Use it. Okay? That is so important, and it's such a big thing that people do not understand. When they get to college, they get stressed out. They're trying to remember all this stuff, and it's stressful, and they live in this tiny dorm, and they don't know what to do. Use your fucking agenda, okay? They give it to you. It's free. Use it. All right, I digress. Back to the books. You've got, obviously, notebooks. Mechanical pencils are usually a good idea, boys and girls. I think these are, I don't even know who makes these. They're like $7 a pencil or something ridiculous, but really good mechanical pencils are really important. You've obviously got, regular notebooks, college ruled, wide ruled, you can kind of do whatever. College just has more lines, smaller writing. Since you're usually going to do a lot of writing in college and note taking and whatnot, that's important. Let's talk about note taking as well, because this is what you're going to need to know. You've already been accepted. You've committed to this college. You've filled out all these forms. You've gotten there your first day. You've filled out your agenda. Okay? You have all the information. Take notes in your classes, because often you're going to get lectured to. People are just going to spew stuff. They're just going to stare at the board, writing stuff, not even looking or caring about you, and it's going to be your job to fill out this 25-page paper by the next class. Take notes. Pay attention. Don't dick around. Now, there are some colleges where you don't have to go to every class. If they say, hey, we're covering this subject. If you know it, don't be here. It doesn't matter. You can do that. But often, a lot of schools make you go to class. If you miss 2 weeks worth of class, which is, depending if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday class, if you miss 6 class periods, you get kicked out of the class. That's the thing. So go to class, be disciplined. You're spending a lot of money to be there. Don't squander the opportunity. Now, if you do start failing classes, ask for help. Go to the resources that your school has, because they will put you on academic probation if you start failing all these classes, which means you can't take classes the next semester. They'll start putting you on, well, I'm trying to explain academic probation. It's different for every school. Basically, you don't want to be there. They're going to start taking away all your freedoms, right? You're going to have to do certain things. You won't be able to take classes another semester. You're going to be wasting time, and you're going to be wasting money, because you still have to be at the school. So you're going to want to do as best as you can your first semester. Understand it's going to be a learning curve, and you're going to just have to try and just do the best you can. I know that I had a 3.6 or 3.7 GPA in high school. My first semester of college, I got a 3.2 GPA. It went down, it's a big learning curve, and don't expect to walk in and be a master right away. Go in humbled, understand that you need to learn stuff. Now, every school does classes differently, but if you jump into a class, and this is a completely off-topic point, I'm sorry, but if you go into a class and you figure out that you don't like it, you want to drop, swap, change it, they often give you 14-day period at the start of every semester where you have the ability to do something like that. I often recommend that you be known, or let it be known to you, rather, that date, because if you get into a class that you don't like, or you find a better class or something like that, even though your first couple years are just going to be general education courses, if you do find something better, you have the ability to take it. There's often a fee, like a $50 fee for dropping classes or something like that, but that's important. Now, along with the dropping classes and whatnot is when your money is going to be due. If you get all these scholarships, financial aid, it'll often go through right away, but you pay per class. You pay a flat fee for going to the college. Let's say it's $3,000, and you pay $300 a credit, or per course. That'll add on to your schedule, which is probably online. Figure all that out, and then you just pay. And you have to pay by a certain date, otherwise you get charged like a $100 late fee, and they start running after you. Admission holds you're going to want to look for as well. Make sure you're not missing transcripts. Your high school didn't send one, something like that. You're going to keep up to date on that, and read your email is the last thing I can say to you to be successful. Often, if they have a problem, if the office has a problem, they'll email you. If there's a meeting, if a class changes, if it's winter and something gets canceled, if the place catches on fire, email. You're going to want to read that, okay? So, this has been a 23-minute video. Boys and girls, you have gone through high school, figuring out what you want to do, applying, filling out forms, being accepted to college, what you're going to want to do when you get there, and how to hopefully succeed in college. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you have any questions, leave the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time.